Neat strategies for sustainable fat loss. Today we're going to be talking about it, but we want to know first off, are you someone who's been trying to lose body fat, but you've somehow hit a plateau and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you're also feeling sluggish, like your energy has reached an all-time low. Or your stress levels are out the roof and the stress and the anxiety has reached an all-time high. This happens to so many people out there. And today we're going to be talking about a way to give you more energy, a way to give you better fat loss, and an overall health and mental state that you're going to be at ease with. So just cool like the cucumber that Coach Aaron Jameson is, we're going to be bringing you years of experience today. We're going to have fun doing it. We've already had a little chat beforehand. We're ready to bring you the best episode that we've been able to put together on something we call neat activity. This is going to be a banger, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, you like the video, share the video. And if you want to find a way to get more active in your day, that's what we're going to be going over today. Steps on how to get more neat activity into your day. And we'll be defining neat before we get started today. But as always, I like to give you the introduction to the coaches here. I'm Coach Lawrence Lalonde, and I'm here with the man, Coach Aaron Jameson. How you doing today, my brother?
Doing good, brother. Let's help these guys increase their calorie burn without getting burnt out, without a doubt.
Burn, that's awesome. I love it. Very cool. So we've made a lot of notes as always, and we want to bring you some really good information. Coach Aaron's looking great today. He's been working on the summer shred in the Ultimate Man program. Everybody's been asking, we're getting notes and we're getting emails and people saying, how are you guys doing with your shred? And obviously Coach Aaron shared a picture recently there, quite a bit of drop in your body fat percentage. It looks at least at a subcutaneous level, you can really see the difference there. So kicking some ass, man. And I'm going to guess neat activity has had something to do with it.
Yeah, guaranteed, dude. I've way been boosting my need up. And one of the things I'll just jump into right off the bat, I used to do when I was doing my cuts previously, I used to do a ton of cardio right off the bat. First thing in the morning, I'd get up, do that fasting cardio in the morning. And it would just leave me kind of burnt out and exhausted a large portion of the day because I would just really kick some butt. But I've just kind of backed off of that intense cardio sessions every morning and just increasing my overall need capacity. And thanks to you for recommending that because I hadn't really tracked it before, but now that I've been tracking my steps and all that, it's been a total game changer as far as my overall energy levels, my just making the weight cut a lot easier than it has been previously. It's been super cool.
I love that you just shared that, and thank you for the compliment. The fact that you just shared that it's making it easier. We always want to find an easier way to do things, right? Everybody's looking for the magic pill. And what if you've been working out, you're hitting the gym, and you're doing all that, you're adding the cardio. Coach Aaron just said he was getting up early. How early were you getting up in the morning to do that cardio?
Oh, 5 o'clock every morning, pretty much 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. Imagine yourself getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning, just grinding it out, really being dedicated to your mission. And there's a lot to be said for the mental benefit of that, for sure. There's a discipline to that. We love that. We want you to be disciplined. But what if there's an easier way to maintain it, a less damaging way that's going to be enjoyable and maybe even, as we said in the title, sustainable? Write that word down, sustainable, because that changes the game. It's not a quick fix, it is sustainable, but it can still be considered one of our favorite magic pills. So it's called neat activity. And after Coach Aaron shared that information of his own personal journey, I thought we should start today because there might be some guys out there listening to the podcast right now who don't know what neat activity actually is. So I'm going to read it to you right off of the page here so you guys get the best definition of it and it's not just our take on it, right? So neat activity or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And for those of you writing it down, that's a big word to spell, thermogenesis. Refers to the energy expended throughout the day and through daily activities that are not planned exercise. Coach Aaron's going to dive into the differences here as we talk about things on our list, but it's about not planned exercise. So this includes activities such as fidgeting, walking to and from destinations, household chores, overall step count, and neat activity contributes significantly to your total energy expenditure and can vary greatly among individuals based on your occupation, your lifestyle, and your daily habits. And I know, Coach Aaron, you did a little bit of homework before the episode as well to get some stats and facts. I know you had a few different things we were talking about earlier, but it says NEAT contributes significantly to the total energy expenditure. Do you have any particulars in front of you that you wanted to share at that point just on the correlation to how neat activity does increase energy expenditure?
Yeah, so you've got the TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, and that's basically a combination of number one, just your basic metabolic rate, your BMR. That takes up about 70% of your total daily energy expenditure. That's just what your body needs to survive. So that's 70%. And then 10% of that total daily energy expenditure is the thermic effect of food, being that it takes more energy to process protein, for example. Your body actually burns energy to digest the food. And then 20% of that total daily energy expenditure is your activity levels. Okay, so that activity level and the majority of that activity level, there's structured exercise like we're talking about, and then there's the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or short, move your ass more, basically, right? Okay, that's the technical term. Just move your butt more. That's what it means. Okay, so that
Yeah.
that needs compromises 75% of the overall 20% of the activity. Basically, it's a lot. It really accumulates to be a lot of the calorie burn for the day.
Beautiful. And what I take from that stat is you're saying that activity itself on a whole is only about 20% of your actual burn for the day. But the neat activity part that we're talking about today is 75% of that 20%. That puts it in a framework that helps us to understand that you could go to the gym and pound out a workout. You can do your extra cardio session and everything. All of that calorie spend is a very small portion of your activity factor for the day. The bigger part is this, what we're going to talk about, neat activity. And that's mind blowing because we've always put so much value on working out. If you miss a workout, you feel like shit. You beat yourself up and you're like, oh, I missed my workout. Now I'm going to gain weight and all this. Yesterday, I had my dog get sick and I completely missed my workout. I was off track with my nutrition. I literally lost track of everything yesterday as I was trying to tend to, I felt helpless, going through, I had to make some medical calls, veterinarian calls and everything. It was like a state of emergency. And anyway, at the end of the day, it was a matter of realizing that I had still been moving quite a bit through the day and I accumulated 12,000 steps. In fact, a little bit more than that. And some of you don't know what we're talking about in steps. Steps is the way that we measure activity. So when we talk about different trackers or wearables, I have a Fitbit that I wear, and again, we're not sponsored by them. We just mentioned the devices that we use. It's real to us. So I have a Fitbit. Coach Aaron has an Aura ring that he uses, and there are different devices out there. Some people just use their handy cell phone, and there's apps you can get for your cell phone. And as long as your phone is with you and it's moving, it can track and estimate steps. One of the guides that I kind of give all of our clients, and again, I'll give this to you, our listeners, is we base about 100 steps per minute. So if you're thinking about minutes, how many minutes you move in a day, about 100 steps is a continuous minute of movement. That's kind of the science, or at least behind the estimate of how many steps you get in a minute. So I always say if you walk 10 continuous minutes, you should get about 1,000 steps. That means if you're walking for a full hour a day, accumulative, it doesn't have to be one shot, but you'd accumulate 6,000 steps. So if you think about it, you're like, well, if you have a tracker, it'll actually tell you. So yesterday, I accumulated over 2 hours of continuous movement, 12,000 steps, right? And I wasn't particularly doing anything. I didn't work out. I didn't do anything. I was literally trying to tend to my dog. I was running, making phone calls all over the house. I was moving a lot. Also, you might notice I do move a lot. I'm a pretty high active individual. So one of the things we're going to talk about is some of these factors of an individual who is getting a lot of neat. They have tendencies, things they do, like talking with their hands, a lot of movement. You might notice one of the two of us does that a lot. Coach Aaron or Coach Lawrence. You can type it in the comments section and let us know which one of us annoys you the most. It's probably going to be the one who's moving the hands a lot. There's also nodding your head, tapping your foot, and doing these little involuntary movements. These are what we call neat, and they all take energy to move your body. So yesterday, I had over 12,000 steps accumulated energy expenditure according to my strap on these. And some will argue that these are not accurate. They are off by some will say up to 20% differential in accuracy. And that's okay. Again, we're gamifying the process to some degree. As long as it's a healthy relationship that you have with your tracking device, it's like the weight scale. If you can have a good relationship with it, you get to keep it. And if you have a bad relationship with it, it's got to go, right? So gamifying the process. But I just wanted to throw that in there that yesterday I missed my workout and I still accumulated 12,000 steps. I got on the scale this morning and I had actually lost weight. I had actually dropped body fat percentage and I didn't lose any of my muscle mass. So did missing a workout really cost me? No. I'm not doing it regularly, but it was me dealing with things for a day and still winning in the process because I dialed down. Remember, I said I wasn't adhering to my nutrition. My nutrition was lower than it should have been, but so was my activity factor, aside from my NEAT. My NEAT took care of my exercise for the day. So I really wanted to share that story, and I think that's going to be powerful for the listeners out there who deal with shit on a day-to-day basis. For me, that was a one-off. For some of you, that's every day. Right now we have to talk about cortisol levels and everything else if you're doing this on a daily basis, getting stressed out like that. But we're here to help you fix all of that. So, Coach Aaron, thank you. Yesterday we were supposed to film this episode, and you were patient. And Coach Aaron was great. He asked how my dog was doing, and again, that's part of community, having a brotherhood of guys who support each other. So I thought that was pretty cool. So thanks again for that, bro.
Yeah, you betcha. Chief comes first. We'll have to put a little picture of Chief. He's got the cutest little beagle. It's a beagle, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the most adorable dog ever. So I'm glad Chief's feeling better, brother.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's doing good today. Today's on the mend, so he's still a little lethargic, but he's doing good. And thanks for doing that. So that was really awesome. But again, the guys out there in the community, just understand if you miss a workout, we're talking about that activity factor that Coach Aaron stated, only being 20% of our total daily expenditures, and 75% of it coming from NEAT means that workout was a small percentage anyway. We don't work out to do the calorie burn. Listen close. We work out to build the muscle. That's what we're there for. The resistance training is to build muscle. The cardio is to improve cardiovascular, VO2, oxygen utilization, and better heart health. That's why we do cardio. Again, we're not doing it to burn calories, but in the old state of mental, the way that we used to look at it, especially a lot of that bodybuilding world pushed the emphasis on that cardio. Coach Aaron was getting up at 5 a.m. to crank out that fasted cardio in the sake of trying to burn that body fat, calorically chasing that expenditure, when really, had we realized how powerful NEAT was back then, we would have put a lot more emphasis on NEAT. A much better magic pill and a lot less stress and longevity. So that's where the sustainability comes in. I can't imagine anyone wanting to get up and do that, that disciplined grind of 45 minutes, an hour of cardio, fasted every morning, 5 a.m. for the rest of their life. Again, you were using it for a specific mode, and that's very cool. If it suits your purpose, great. But we're saying this is longevity and something that is sustainable. So very, very cool. And I wanted to make sure that we touched on the realism of what people are going to deal with missing a workout and beating themselves up. Don't do it. Realize that percentage he gave you was 20%, and 75% of that comes from NEAT activity. So hopefully we're hitting home with the importance of NEAT. Anything else you want to add to the value and importance of the NEAT factor, Coach Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I like the analogy of like, doing a workout is like making a deposit into a bank. Like you're depositing, maybe you're burning 300 to 500 calories for a workout or something like that. But you can think of the NEAT as like that cumulative interest that builds up over time. It might not seem like a lot initially, but it's actually contributing a lot more than that just small little 300 to 500 calorie chunk that you're depositing, because it's got that compound interest. So that's kind of a cool way to think of it too.
Love analogies. That's my favorite. So there you go. You're hitting me with something I really enjoy. The fact that I can correlate it to a bank account. And so we're talking about these trackables, these wearable things, right? And if you've ever tracked one of your weight training sessions, you might notice that it doesn't really surpass about maybe 350, depending on the body size. We have to correlate too. When we talk about NEAT activity, we have to consider the size of the body that's involved. So for example, Coach Aaron, what was your most recent weigh-in right now?
198, dropped a couple more pounds. Yeah.
198, beautiful. And my current weigh-in was 187. So we have a differential, right, of give or take, and my math is terrible at most points, so I'm just gonna use 10 pounds for the sake of simplicity. Let's just say there's a 10-pound difference between Coach Aaron and I. That means that if Coach Aaron and I move at the same speed for the same distance, Coach Aaron's going to burn more calories than I am for an expenditure because he's carrying 10 more pounds in his vehicle. And our bodies are our vehicle. So make sure that you correlate your expenditure to the size of your vehicle. If you lose weight, you're spending less to move. The body loves that. That's why the body loves weight loss, right? Because you feel so much better. And at that point, we have to share a story. One of the guys in the Ultimate Man program, he came to us, was it almost 400 pounds, I think, when he came in?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
very close to 400 pounds. And then he has, in his first like 4 or 5 weeks, I forget what it was. It was early in the program. He dropped down to about 185 or 180 pounds, or 100, sorry, 185 to 190. I think. No, sorry,
385.
385. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
385 to 390. And so he's feeling good. His body is now moving and spending less energy to do it than it was before. So he ended up getting an abundance of energy and confidence, and everything happened. Do you want to share the story, Coach Aaron? Tell a little bit about what we had the other night on our call.
Basically he's just like you said, his activity level's gone way up. He's just, he's out there digging and shoveling and working, doing, he does like construction type work and stuff. And he has more energy to do it now. Yeah, and then basically I think he really increased his calorie burn so much for the day. What was it like? It was a tremendous amount of steps that he accumulated.
Yeah, I think he had reached almost, I think he said 18,000, give or take, on like a total daily step activity because he'd been out
Yeah,
all day.
yeah, that's a ton.
Yeah, at a guy
Yeah.
that big, remember we talked about vehicle size. He's going to burn more than Coach Aaron and myself, right? Because again, the size of the vehicle. So his expenditure was extremely high. And what was the end result?
Well, he bonked out a little bit, right? I mean, because his calories were a little too low at the time. That's the beautiful thing about being in our program is we can help you balance out the expenditure and the income of the calories and stuff so that you don't, because there's so many times people will cut their calories too low, but then when they increase their expenditure and they're getting 18,000 freaking steps in a day, they're like, oh man, I need more food than this. And we're like, yeah, you do. You need to increase that calories. You're a big vehicle, bro. You know what I
That's
mean?
right. Exactly. And it's funny because one of the quotes we got from one of our guys in the program as well, different guy though, same quote. The quote he used was like, I've never eaten this much on a diet. Well, what a cool quote, right? And because we have actually fed our guys for the fuel that they need to perform. That's why it's so important to have a good coach who understands caloric deficit chasing is stress because you're actually cutting away from the body's ability to perform. So when you create a deficit, you're talking an energy deficit. As you take an energy deficit, you're also going to realize that you don't have energy to spend extra. This is going to happen. And so here he was eating what he was supposed to eat for his proper deficit for his regular daily maintenance, which was great. But then he went up and above and beyond. He did his workout, hit the gym. Then he did his work, his job, and decided since he felt so good, he was going to get in there and do the shoveling and get right into the, get his hands dirty. And so he did. And then all of this extra neat activity expenditure that he didn't plan for, right? Ended up taking energy out of the tank. Coach Aaron just gave you that bank account analogy. So here he was with the investment side of things, just compounding calorie burn like crazy. And what happened at the end? He crashed bad. Got on the call with us and went, I've been feeling so good up until today. And now he said, my energy is like it's all time low. And in fact, what happened on the measurement side of things when he got on the scale, he was up 4 pounds and he was
Right.
blown away, right? So guys
Yeah.
listening to this, don't think that starving yourself and doing more is going to win. He actually went up 4 pounds and we told him in our program what to do, how to do it, how to implement it. He came back the next day with a message to me and he said, thank you for the advice. That was exactly what I needed. I feel unbelievably better and I'm back on track and the scale's back down again where I want it. So it didn't take more than one good conversation with the coaches on our Monday night call. That was pretty impressive. And that's not to toot our own horn. We've been here, we've been doing this for a long time, and we know how to get the body to adapt based on these factors, but we have to be real careful with neat activity because it does add up to such a big portion of your activity expenditure. So that's why we want to do an episode on it today because it is a major mover of the needle. It's a major, difference maker. And I think a lot of you, as we said in the top of the show in the introduction, if you're stuck at a plateau, neat activity might be your plateau breaker. And it might also be the way to get out there and start to get better mental health. If you're struggling with stress and anxiety, nothing beats getting out and taking a nice walk. So we got to give you some tips. That's what we're here for today. And we do give you some free coaching here. So thank you for being part of the Ultimate Man podcast, being a loyal subscriber. You got your notification bell turned on. You're not missing any episodes. And today, let's bring them some fire, right? So if you're getting some fire, put it in the comments. Let us know that you're getting some fire out of these episodes. We love hearing from you. Okay, so the average recommendation for a guy over the age of 40. Why do we say that? Well, Coach Aaron and I are both over the age of 40. So we're going to speak from experience. And then we're also going to consider that most of the guys listening to this, or maybe, and you can tell us if we're wrong, in and around 40 or 40 plus. Maybe you're an ex-fighter who's been trying to get back in the game, or you're currently a fighter training. Someone who watched, someone like Dominic, who's one of our main events, or Dylan, one of our main events, and you're watching these young athletes, and maybe that's you. But we're going to try and give you some basis for comparison. So the daily recommended activity for men over the age of 40, we're giving you about a 10,000 step goal. And Coach Aaron and I keep it quite simple. If you move for 10 minutes continuous, that's 1,000 steps. So to get yourself up to 10,000 steps, you're going to need to move for about an hour and a half or more of daily activity. Now, it doesn't mean you need to do it all in one shot. Okay, it doesn't have to be one shot. You can plan it in small intervals throughout the day. In fact, that'll help to keep you attainable, make it more realistic for you. So it's really important that you structure this into your day, and we want to give you at least 10 things you can do now to make a difference. So stop the video right now, get your pen, get your paper, get your notepad, get ready to write these things down, because one of these is going to change the game, potentially change your life. And if it does, you got to comment back. That's the deal we're going to make. We'll handshake on it right now. You got to come back and tell us which one of these made a difference in your life. And here we go. So first off, Coach Aaron, have you ever coached anybody who was a desk worker or a businessman who was kind of like sedentary due to their job? They're stuck sitting down?
All the time. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the main common ones that I've gotten as well, is people who are stuck at a desk. We're in that world right now. And so incorporating simple exercise like lifting your legs, and we talked about tapping your foot, moving your hands a little bit, calf raises, one of the exercises we use in a program, like just up on your toes and down. These types of movements are still considered neat activity. They cost calories because it costs energy to move the body. So desk stretches when you're at the desk as well, just simple movements like this are costing energy. Right? So as you're doing this, and those of you who are listening to us on Spotify, you'll have to catch out one of our videos. Maybe check our YouTube out so you can see how pretty Coach Aaron's looking today with his leanness. And we're going to see these stretches we're doing here on video. So if you're
how animated Coach Lawrence is. My Mom and Joe was saying the other day, she was watching one of the episodes, just like, Coach Lawrence is so animated. He's always moving his hands and stuff. Most of you guys that are watching our videos probably think that my video's frozen, that my Zoom videos is like, Coach AJ's video froze compared to Coach Lawrence all over the place. I need to really increase my meat levels and get a little more animated. That's how I'm going to increase my calorie burn.
It's funny because let's go there for a second. While we're on that, Coach, let me do this first. Shout out to Mama Joe for noticing and watching our episodes and being so dedicated. But yeah, animation is a lot of the movement, right? And so a lot of my clients, when they say, well, you're telling us get X amount of steps per day. Steps are the movement tracker, which means you don't have to step with your foot. You step with any movement, which, like we said, nodding your head is considered steps. If it's moving, if you're rotating your body, that's movement. So dancing, and we're going to talk about these things. But every little movement, unintentional, is considered non-exercise activity. It's not you planning it to do it, right? So if I have this watch attached to my hand, it is tracking movement every time I move my hand. So if I'm writing or I'm waving to someone or I'm doing what I'm doing now, talking and moving, it's all counting. So my clients accuse me of cheating, because they're like, you're getting all these steps, you're still sitting at your desk. The difference between sitting and fidgeting while you sit is pretty significant. In fact, I want to get a little proof on this. So there was a study done, and we're going to put this in the show notes, but I want to give this to you guys right now. So this study that was done was actually a PubMed study that we have, and it's going to be in the links if you want to check it out. Here's the thing. Laying down versus sitting, the first thing they did, the study revealed that there were approximately only a 4% difference in energy expenditure, okay? Because you're laying down or you're sitting, and both are pretty sedentary. It's only a 4% difference, not really much difference in the way the body spends calories in those two states. But here's what was interesting. When sitting and fidgeting, which is me on a regular basis, right? Interestingly, the participants sat down and engaged in fidgeting activities, tapping their feet, moving their hands, nodding their head. Remarkably, 54% increase in energy expenditure compared to just passive sitting. That's incredible. That means I'm catching up to Coach Aaron for that 10-pound weight advantage he's got because of my fidgeting and my movement. So don't let anybody tell you move too much, right? This is a good thing. Be a busybody. Busy bodies get results. Fidgeting movements stimulate muscle contraction, increase metabolic rate, leading to significant rise in calorie burn. Again, you're moving the vehicle. And so steps are every movement. Okay. And so sitting and fidgeting was a 54% difference, but check this out. Standing and fidgeting. Well, so standing while fidgeting resulted in even higher energy expenditure with a 93% increase compared to the passive sitting. So back to the passive, just sitting still, like Coach Aaron was saying, if you sit like a statue and don't move, okay, that versus standing and fidgeting was a 93% difference in energy expenditure. That's incredible. And again, we've had some coaches in the past tell us, hey, get a standing desk. You should be standing. I've heard that a few times from different coaches, especially in the business world. Get a standing desk. You'll burn more calories. And if you fidget while you're standing, you'll burn even more. So that's pretty impressive. But then they took the study one step further. So from standing fidgeting to walking fidgeting. Okay, so not just walking, but walking fidgeting. So walking and fidgeting, the most substantial increase in energy expenditure was observed when the participants in this study walked while fidgeting. The combination resulted in a remarkable 150 to 290% increase in calorie burn compared to the passive statue sitting. Okay, so just sitting down, relaxed, not moving at all. 150 to 290% increase. And I wanted to make it, obvious too that we spoke about the size of the vehicle. So there were some variables. Some of the participants were different sizes and they were moving different vehicle energy. So there was a differential. Also, the speed at which you're walking and fidgeting will also affect that. So the size of the vehicle, the speed it's moving, we know all these things cost different amounts of energy. So they gave a variable between 150% more energy spent up to 290% more spent. But the point is, that's a hell of a lot more spent by walking and waving and nodding and smiling and moving. So people who are very busy bodies, who are up and moving and walking, are doing everything to get this calorie expenditure up to 290% higher than just sitting still. Now that puts it in perspective. This study was mind-blowing. And again, the link will be in the show notes if you want to check that out to see those numbers. But that brings us back to where Coach Aaron and Mama Joe were talking about, how we're sitting still or we're sitting still and moving. That is a step up. Think of every little activity you do and add the fidgeting, add the head nodding and the waving and the moving to it, and you're going to start to burn more calories. So Coach Aaron, give us some feedback on all of that. What do you think?
Cool stuff, man. I need to become more animated, and just even simple stuff, just sitting there and bobbing your knee, just like, that little hyperactivity type motion, stuff like that, just little things. Just think about how you can incorporate that into your day. And, long story short, we could talk about non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, and spit out all these, facts and figures and stuff, but just move your butt more is the basic long story short,
Yeah, man, it really is. And the more you move at whatever level is like a 1% from where you're at, right? And so that's something that we might as well go to right now. I had it kind of saved for the end, but I'm going to do it right now. For those of you listening, let's check this out. So we're going to give you kind of a way to kind of decide what your activity factor looks like. So if you have a step tracker, whether it be your strap, your ring, or your phone or whatever, just to kind of give you some feedback, if you can track your steps, it gives you some really, like I said, a way to gamify it. Coach Aaron said it was a game changer for him to see those steps. And so we're considering someone who is doing 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day, total energy expenditure activity of all of this, like all the movement and everything. That would be more sedentary lifestyle. That would be your first goal. So if you're someone who's desk work and you're just getting started, you haven't done a lot, getting 3,000 to 5,000 steps is a wonderful place to start. Okay, we're not saying that everybody's got to get 10,000 or you suck, you fail. That's not the case. In fact, we know about SMART goals. If you watched any of our episodes early on in our podcast, we've been doing this for 21 episodes, I think now, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's amazing, brother. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm stoked about that. But we've been doing this since like last year. And over that time, we've had a chance to kind of see the evolution of our podcast. But in each episode early, we talked about goal setting and SMART goals and being realistic with what you're setting for yourself. Don't set yourself up for failure. And so if you are sedentary, come in at 3,000 to 5,000 and feel damn good about that. If you're already moderately active, you're someone who does have pretty busy lifestyle. Maybe you walk for a living, like that's part of your job. You're gonna probably accumulate more steps as it is. So a good goal for you might be to keep it between 6,000 and 8,000 steps, because you already have a more active lifestyle. And again, gamify it by using your tracker. And then a very busy active lifestyle. That might be someone who works out regularly, has a pretty active job, and like Coach Aaron rides a bike, goes for bike rides in the mountains and is on the verge of wiping out regularly, having a good time, trying to video himself with one hand while he's steering with the other hand. We got to get you a GoPro, brother.
I know.
So, you get this really busy lifestyle. If that's you, then you're probably going to set your goal in and around that 8,000 to 10,000, maybe even 12,000 as a goal and a benchmark to kind of keep up with. Now, that sounds ambitious for someone who's completely sedentary, right? That's why we want to give you those tiers to kind of work within. So if you got value from those tiers alone, put it in our comment section. Let us know that that's helping you out. Okay. So keeping that in mind, I wanted to share a story with one lady that I worked with in the past, and she was very ambitious with the mental part, but her body was in the sedentary state. She was doing probably 2,000 or 3,000 steps total a day. And so when she came in, her goal was, I want to get 10,000 steps. We had to back it off. And I said, let's just reasonably shoot for that 5,000. And she said, no, I've done 10,000 in the past. So guys listening right now, if you've ever been an athlete, you know damn well you want to return to being an athlete as soon as possible. Your mind is still living there. Remember the glory days? You talk about it all the time, right? Oh, when I used to fight, right? And you remember hitting the bag, you remember your intensity, you remember all of that energy, and you think, I should be able to return to that tomorrow if I try. But your body's not there yet, right? And so this was the case. In setting a goal of 5,000 instead of 10,000, the reality was on the tracker, and again, whether it's right or wrong isn't the issue here, it's just that we're gamifying the process. We ended up at 7,000 steps. That was her best effort in this journey. So what would have happened had she set her goal at 10,000? Absolute mental health deficit, right? She would have been beating herself up going, I failed, I thought I could have done it, and I didn't make it. Guys out there, has that happened to you? Have you been that person who set that goal and went at it and didn't reach what you had, just set as an unreal expectation? Your super self was so far away and you tried to reach it the next day, right? And so you got to realize that setting those goals has to be really achievable, attainable, and realistic. So when we're talking about it, realize which of those current lifestyles you have, sedentary, moderate, or high activity. Be honest with yourself and set a step goal that's correlating to that. Any thoughts, Coach Aaron?
Yeah, just start slow with everything. If you've been sedentary for a long time and you're just getting back into it, whether it's weight training or logging your steps or your cardiovascular, whatever it is, I see that problem so many times. People are, like you said, they're like, oh, I just want to push it right off the bat. And they go into the gym and they freaking kill themselves. And then the next day they're sore as hell and they're freaking exhausted. And they're just like, oh, maybe I don't have the same mojo I used to. And then they end up falling off the wagon because they're like, I can't train like I used to. But you don't have to have that mentality that I can't train like I used to. Maybe you can't today, but maybe in, a few weeks or a month down the road, if you just baby step it, you can get back to that same point you were when you were a beast.
Beautiful. That's what we need to hear. Got to make sure we're putting realistic expectations on it. And I know that fighters who are listening to this right now, your mindset goes right back to those glory days, man. And you just want to pick up where you left off. It's damaging. You'll be sore for far too long. All right. The next thing we want to talk about is active commuting. So opting for walking or biking instead of driving for a short distance errand could make all the difference. Now, have you ever utilized your bicycle? Coach Aaron's a pro. He's got his bike. Where do you keep your bike, by the way? Is it out in the garage or do you keep it close by? Where does it sit?
It's out in the shed usually. I got a little outside shed. Yep.
So it's going to take some neat activity just to go get the bike.
Yep. Yep.
Right? This is what I'm talking about. See, we're adding up this activity. So he's got to go out there. He's got to do something to get it. We love that idea. So he gets out there and bikes. And then where do you go to bike? Do you have to pedal, like, say, 10 minutes to get to where you want to start?
Yeah, well, lately I've been I start at my house and then I got to go up this like super steep hill just to even get to this national forest where it's got all the single tracks and stuff. So even just to climb up this brutal hill is like maybe 20-30 minutes of just straight climbing, just as my little warm up. And then I'll get to all the single tracks and stuff and then go another half hour or so after that. So my total bike rides have just been, it's pretty brutal. I've had like I don't know. It was like 1,300 feet elevation climb the other day. It was a good little day for me.
That's awesome. And guys listening to this, if you've had a chance to check out Coach Aaron's YouTube channel, he's got his own channel for that. Go have a look at it. Watch some of that bike ride and stuff. It's pretty wild. But again, what I'm pointing out here is that he plans to go to this national trail and bike. That's exercise activity he's planned. But the neat activity took place in going to get the bike in the first place. The walk out there, the unhinging of the shed or whatever, the unlocking, getting the bike out, getting prepared. That's all just regular activity that he did. That it was like that's not part of the exercise activity plan. So that's the differential we want to start to draw for you there is that those non-planned activities, if you're going out to get the lawnmower from the shed, those types of things, those still are your neat activities. So active commuting is where we're going with this one. Opt for walking instead of biking. So if you were going to go somewhere, would you opt to take your bike? Would that be an option for you instead of driving there? So have you got any examples, Coach Aaron, where you might have took the bike instead of, but you weren't planning to go for a trail ride? You just decided I'll bike there instead of driving.
Lately I'll just usually drive wherever I'm going because I don't have a bike lock right now. If I had a bike lock and a place to lock it up, I would, but I just don't want to. I got a nice bike now, so I don't want to just like leave it out at the store or something. But I
Yeah.
used to all the time. Yeah.
Good point. And then, so what if you don't have a bike? Guys listening don't bike at all. Maybe they just walk. Could we walk instead of driving? That would make all the difference too, because you're going to get the steps. We just talked about walking, getting the steps. So again, your goal might be to go and check the mail, but you drop your bike or you drop the bike idea and just walk instead of taking the car. How many people out there take the car to go check the mail, right? Maybe it's only like a just down the street and they fire up the vehicle, drive down and go check the mail. I mean, it's literally if it's within distance, try to opt for walking or biking instead of driving the vehicle. I think that's a major game changer. And of course, it's going to add to your steps. So our goal right now is to give you the things that are going to add to your steps. I'm going to keep crossing them off the list. We got about 10 things for you today. So
Yeah.
active commuting is a big one.
I got another cool one here. So like it helps to gamify, like you were saying too. It just like you got your little, you try to beat your record and type of thing really helps to, make it a little bit more fun. And then so like even activities that maybe used to just be monotonous for you, maybe like your wife or something wants to go to like, Home Depot or something and go shopping or Walmart or something. Before it used to be like, I ain't gonna go do that. But if you think about it as, hey, I might be able to get, a ton of more steps in, you might be more likely to go hang out with her and go to Walmart and go shopping or something because you're like, I can get some steps in at the same time, you know?
Great, great. I love that you said that because I'm thinking about it. How many people do exactly that? Stay home, watch TV, do nothing. It's kind of like, yeah, she's gonna go do the shopping thing or whatever, and you just sit around doing nothing. Zero calorie spent. Remember we talked about sedentary sitting? You're not even fidget sitting, right? You're literally sitting there. The most expenditure you might have is to lift the remote and click the channel or whatever, right? Not going to burn a lot there. But what if you did go join her? You get that, hey, she feels like you've been involved in the relationship. You're doing something with her. It's benefiting the house and it's benefiting your relationship. All's good. It's a win-win. And then you go and add the extra steps, which is a win for your fat loss and your calorie expenditure as well. Coach Aaron, that's gold. That's gold. You're
Yeah,
helping people
buddy.
save relationships now too.
Right.
Oh, damn, we need to up your psychology degrees and your marriage
Yeah.
counseling. Our fees just went up, folks who are looking to
Yeah.
work with us. Coach Aaron's added marriage counseling to our list. That's awesome. But no, really, guys listening to this, we want you to know that there's a lot of elements to the ultimate man. As we've talked about, we've asked our special guests to give us their thoughts on what it takes to be the ultimate man. And a lot of it is, it's going to be the pillars that we talk about. And if you've ever watched our video on the walk around the octagon, you'll see that there are a lot of factors that we use in creating an ultimate man. And it's not just working out and it's not just nutrition. There's a lot happening there. So use these tips and you'll see that you're getting more benefit than just the one thing you might have been chasing. It shows up in a lot of different ways. So the next one we did talk about a little bit was household chores. Now, how many guys out there, let's be honest, are doing the household chores? I kind of want to take a poll. So if you are a household chore guy and you're doing the work, comment, let us know, reach out to us and tell us, hey, I do chores around the house. Maybe you're a guy who works in the garage and stuff like that. You're doing your tinkering out there. That's all neat activity too. Just moving around, carrying tools, doing things, and not planned exercise. But around the house, here are some of the things that could count as neat activity. For example, vacuuming. Okay, pushing and pulling on the vacuum, gardening around the house, on the outskirts of the house, maybe landscaping and gardening, right? And then, or cleaning and increasing movement through cleaning activities, which could be washing windows or things like that. Have you been a guy who does any of that stuff around the house? Coach Aaron, what are you responsible for in the way of household chores?
Well, right now, my big project has been weed eating. We have this big orchard that's the grass is like, up to my chest high almost. And so I've been like getting my daily neat moving my ass with some weed eating lately, and I know that's been really boosting my calorie burn. Now I even look forward to it, but I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna go burn some calories. Let's go weed eat, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
gamifies it to that degree, right? You can take tasks that maybe, like you said, were monotonous and kind of getting under your skin of like, I don't want to go do that. It's taking my time. Turn it into something that's fun and look at it as I'm getting a bonus here. I'm going to be burning those calories using my neat activity. We talked about the percentages it can do. You've seen the importance of it. Now you get a task accomplished, which is a absolute friggin' dopamine hit to the brain. The sense of achievement, feeling good about achieving a task. And it was a task that got your calorie burn to increase. A double bang right there. So cutting the lawn, what does it take you if you're doing a lawn cut? For me, it's probably based on the size of the lawn, maybe about an hour, I think, 45 minutes to an hour for cutting the lawn.
Yeah, yeah. I've been just breaking. I've got a huge property here, so I've just been doing like an hour a day, pretty much, just a little bit here and there.
Yeah. So if you're walking continuous around the yard for that hour that you're putting in there, that we just talked about that being 1,000 steps per 10 minutes, you got 6,000 steps cutting the lawn or weed whacking or doing the weed eating around the property. If you go for an hour, just walk around and you're thinking, holy shit, I guess I do have time to get steps in. Because one of the things I hear the most is I don't have time for that extra stuff. I don't have time to go for a walk and plan all these extras. What if it's not extras? What if it's actually the shit you're supposed to be doing anyway? And you just started counting it. We don't give ourselves credit for a lot of the stuff we do actually do, right? So start thinking about that around those household chores. Again, I don't know if every guy's going to agree with me. You might call me a sissy or whatever, but I do the dishes. I'm a dishes guy, and I don't like dishes, but I gamify it knowing that it's going to continue to give me steps. It's also going to make our relationship better where we have, not just one person doing dishes, but everybody contributing in the household, right? Trying to get my son to get on board with this and do his dishes too, but I'm ending up doing it for him. But again, doing the dishes and washing things is all movement and activity. It's as simple as that. And you're getting a task accomplished and you're getting movement in there. So, Coach Aaron, I'll put you on the spot. Do you do the dishes, bro?
I do. I always do the dishes. I'm very good about doing the dishes. I cook and do the dishes. I do it all.
I know you're a kitchen guy, man. I've seen your
Yeah,
cooking stuff. We even got one of our thumbnails for our video where Coach Aaron's got the kitchen apron on there. He's a
yeah,
kitchen
yeah,
guy. You should have your own cooking show, Coach Aaron's Kitchen.
yeah.
That'd be awesome.
My little apron says Mr. Good Looking is cooking.
Nice. All right, guys. So if you've written it down, household chores are going to win on multiple levels for you. Not just the neat activity, but also in a lot of other ways. And again, like I said, the dopamine hit that you get for achieving a task is a fantastic way to build momentum. Some of you are like, "Oh, I don't have any momentum. I don't have any motivation." Do a task, accomplish something, and you guarantee your momentum picks up. You start stacking wins, brother. That's what we're looking for, right? Okay. So the next one is walking meetings. Now, what does walking meetings mean? Conduct meetings on the phone while outdoors or combine productivity and physical activity together. So, businessmen who are listening to this, we had Deshaun on our main event, business-oriented individual. This guy's doing a lot of work out there, and he's working on his what was it, the Guinness record for burpee pull-ups and everything. I mean, some badass stuff going on outside of his work life. But just like Coach Aaron and I, we're businessmen as well, and we're still making time for the other things we need. But what if we filmed our podcast at a walking desk? Or at a standing desk? What if we both were fidgeting? We would be increasing our neat activity, right? And so we sit here and we're doing our podcast, but then we're going to get up and we're going to do other things in the day, like we've been talking about, to live up to our expectations of step activity. What are you doing in your meetings? So guys, businessmen sitting at a desk, you're literally on the phone. Can you get up and take that call on the go? Can you walk around your office? I've seen some offices, mostly on TV. I haven't ever been in one where they've got like a little mini putt set up in the office. I've seen it on TV. Business guys love the golf, right? And they set up a little, a little one-hole mini putt in their office. And I'm like, that's cool because that's neat activity. And whether you're on a voice call, maybe put it on speakerphone and walk around, or hit a few holes of golf or whatever. It's kind of funny to see it on TV, but maybe some guys do that. Have you ever coached a businessman who maybe that was something that they did, or you recommended to them, would be to take a call on the go? Or have you used it yourself? Put someone on speakerphone while you're doing a workout or something.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I'll do like, I'll just do like a little light walking on the treadmill, go to the gym and just kind of make it like my work block slash activity at the same time. So I'll like kill two birds with one stone, grow two blossoms with one seed, indeed, and do my client check-ins, check on their diets and the my fitness pals, and like reach out to clients, check in, stuff like that. Plan like content creation and stuff all at the same time. So that's a good way to just work and work out at the same time.
Nice. I love it, man. And so we're going to just keep it real with you guys, okay? As we always do. If you're listening to the Ultimate Man podcast, you know that we're genuine. We keep it as real and as applicable to what we've been through. So we're going to give you a direct example right now of being in business and doing something active for yourself and then taking, business and putting physical activity together. So Coach Aaron and I throughout the day share a lot of ideas back and forth. I'm going to be honest with you guys, and here's what it sounds like. I send Coach Aaron a text message. He tries to read it. I get a voicemail back, a little audio note, and he's out of breath. He's in the middle of doing something, whether it's a workout, whether it's a hike or a bike ride, and he's like, "Hey, bro, catching my breath. I'm out walking here," right? And he's literally talking to the phone, and I'm trying to hear through the wind and hear through, and because he's doing exactly what we're talking about right now. He's combining the two. He's taking a business call. He's helping build the podcast, and he's getting back to me in like a record time, because I just sent a message, and he's so excited about getting that response, but he's still not interfering and saying, okay, well, I have to stop what I'm doing in order to do business. So he's mixing the two and in a way that he can enjoy it. And if I don't hear from him, I know he's busy doing something else. But anyway, I want to share that because you do it quite often. You'll send me a voice note, and that makes me feel like I'm actually getting a chance to hear from you. So I'll try to send a voice note back instead of texting, also knowing that you're busy doing something. You're not going to have time to read my texts, which are like 6 pages long. So
Right.
better off to give you a video, right?
Yeah.
A video or not a video, but
Voice
a voice
voice
note.
message. Yeah.
So guys out there, businessmen listening to this, here's, two guys been in this business for 30 years now. We've been building business on our own. We've been building business now together for a year, and we're working on this and we're sharing ideas daily. But what if you could take that call into a voice note? What if you could send a message to a client and make your email a voice note? Something like voice to text can be done, where you can still keep moving and let the phone pick up your text, and then just check it for auto correction, because sometimes that goes astray. The phone hears something it didn't actually, you didn't actually say. Be
Right.
careful for that, especially when sending messages to a boss or someone else. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just important. I want to share that because as real as it is, Coach Aaron does this all the time. Constantly sending me voice notes, and he's always out of breath because he's busy doing something that's pushing the limits, man. And obviously he looks the way he looks because he puts in the work that he puts in, and he's dedicated to it consistently. So anything you want to add to that, Coach, as I spill the beans on you?
I love the voice notes. It's so much more personal a lot of times too. You get to hear someone's like tonality in the voice and
Mm.
stuff. So, and it's so much easier than like, obviously when I'm out hiking or something, it's you don't want to sit down there and text. It's just so much easier just to push a button and talk. So, if you're not utilizing that already, you should be.
Right. And they say technology makes life easier, and some people are like, oh, it just makes it harder. But like those types of things, those are the tools you want to use to make it easier. So use those voice notes. And like you said, it's really nice to hear someone's voice. It gives it the personal touch that we've kind of lost through technology to some degree, right? Getting a text message there's no emotion in it. And sometimes even in relationships, especially I think relationships, it can come across differently when you read it versus how you meant it. And so guys out there who may be relationship struggling, here we go with marriage counseling again. Use the voice notes so they can hear what you mean, and don't just send a text. That's important. So, so we're gonna get all kinds of comments on that in the comment section about relationship coaching and counseling now. So walking in meetings was the tip that I wanted to give you there, and then the next one may or may not apply to the guys in our audience. But dancing and moving in those types of ways is also very good. Coach Aaron talked about, stomping the foot or tapping the foot type of thing, or those involuntary movements. But something like dancing, some guys love to dance. And I know that you might do that with your partner. Again, that could be a relationship builder. You go ballroom dancing or something like that. As much as it is a planned action or activity, there's a lot of just involuntary movement during that movement, whether it be with your feet, your hands, or your full body rotation. All of that counts. So I was thinking about it, dance breaks. And then I thought, well, one of the things that I was kind of growing up with was there was a video game called Just Dance. It was literally gamifying dancing. And the goal was for kids, especially playing this game, to match the dancer on the screen. And the better your movements were, the more it matched, the more points you got, type of thing. And that got me thinking about video games in general. I know a lot of guys love video games, for sure. But what you want to think about is, am I sitting there completely sedentary with just thumb movement? Right? That's not going to give me a whole lot of neat. So one of the things I did was I love to game too. One of my favorite things is playing NHL hockey on the PlayStation, right? And so I got on, and again, I don't recommend this if your balance isn't great, but I got on my, whether it be your treadmill or your elliptical, I got on there while I was going for a stroll on my elliptical, and I was playing like 20-minute games of hockey and moving and trying to keep my balance, my core. This was wonderful for me. Now you might walk on a treadmill and do something like that. But what I'm saying is you could sit on even a recumbent bike or a sedentary, style of bike, but pedal and play your video game. That could make a change for you instead of just sitting there immobile and just twiddling your thumbs basically on the controller. So dance breaks, short breaks, dancing through the day, elevating your heart rate, and improving your mood, which is another part of that. There's a double bonus there. Doing something you love. I think guitar, as I'm playing guitar, I really enjoy it. I have fun with it. So I'm moving my hands a lot. I'm moving for chords and strumming, and I'm getting some neat activity there. Maybe that's you. You're a guitar player. You're like, I resonate with that. Cool. Now stand up and play guitar. Stand up and walk around and play guitar. You're adding neat activity every time you do it. So Coach Aaron, I know you got a few notes on this one. Tell us about your dancing career. Dancing.
Yeah.
Dive into the dancing. Tell us about it.
One thing that kind of corresponds with this that I love to do is, and this is really great tip for like entrepreneurs, business types that are at the computer a lot, like we are a lot of times too. I have a trampoline, just like one of those little bungee trampolines, a little small thing that just you fit in your room. And but I'll take breaks from like my computer. There's this thing called Pomodoros where you work for a specific time block, say 45 minutes, and then you take 15 minutes out of every hour and you just, take a little break, get up, move around and stuff. So I'll do that. And one thing that it really helps me with too is like, intellectually, like if I'm pondering some type of like, strategy or whatever, trying to come up with some new ideas and stuff. If you just kind of take a break from your computer for a little bit and get away from that intellect and you kind of do something that's just a little bit more movement related, you can kind of tap back into your subconscious a little bit and back into that intuition. So I'll just go jump on my trampoline, let go of the mental malarkey for a little bit and just kind of like, receive intuitions as I'm just kind of jumping, burning some calories. And then I'm like, and then every once in a while, I'll have some new insights and be like, oh, okay, here's how I could approach this new thing I'm trying to like tackle. So I love the trampoline and just breaking up the work blocks like that too.
That's awesome. And just like dancing, it's got all that body movement in it. It's like, you're going to be a rebounder. You've heard that before. I wanted to ask one more thing too, Coach Aaron. You mentioned something about a device or something new that was on the market. I hadn't heard of it. Maybe it's not even new. It might be just something that we just heard of now. Some of you are going to be like, oh man, that's been around for years. I don't know. But Coach Aaron just found something and it was a product or a tool or device. Tell us about that you can use to increase neat activity.
Yeah, I have not used these myself. I just learned about them the other day. I mean, I've probably seen them before, but they're called body togs, and they're basically just like weights. Like you think about, everybody's probably seen like ankle weights. These are like things that fit on maybe your forearms or your shins, and they're just little weights that you can wear during everyday activities, under your clothes or whatever, and you just perform your everyday activities with them. And then there's a little quote. Let's see, wearing body togs, the weights increases your qualitative needs. So there's quantitative, like increasing the amount, the quantity of your steps that you're doing, and then there's qualitative need, like increasing the quality of it by adding resistance in this case. So if you're increasing the resistance of your knee, it's the equivalent to like a 2-mile run wearing these little body tog things. So that's another option.
I like it. And you know what that does is it provides the evidence that what we said earlier is what matters. The size of the vehicle, the weight of the vehicle that you're moving is determining the calorie expenditure for that movement. It's correlating the weight. So if you add weight, putting a little toggle or tog, I think they call it,
Yeah, yeah.
on your body, you've increased your body weight. Therefore, now you're carrying more weight, more calories need to be used to move the same distance you would have moved before. So Coach Aaron gets on his trampoline and he's got his tog item on, and now he's carrying more. He's going to burn more calories doing the same amount of his of his rebounder or his trampoline. So you can see how you can break a plateau without doing anything new or active using a tool like that. Which again, we don't get endorsed by this, but we just come across it and it's like, that makes sense. As long as it's not causing impact on the joints and hurting you in any kind of way, then great. I think about weighted vests. I see people walking and doing, weighted vest type exercises. Then I think about these ruck carries. I know we got some people who really are big advocates for the ruck carry, this big sack on the back kind of thing, and walking up hills and training. It's grueling watching some of those ruck carry things. But again, I've never done this. I see a lot of people are using it, but it makes sense that you're going to get a much higher response from your calorie output because again, we're not doing those types of exercise specifically for calorie output. A lot of them are doing it for the mental benefit. They're doing it for the strength building and the discipline and the determination type factors. But have you ever done any of that, Coach Aaron, or does that correlate with what you've done?
Yeah, I have a 40-pound weighted vest that I'll use on a lot of my hikes. That's quite a substantial amount of weight. I mean, some of these guys are doing rucks with like way more than that, but I mean, even 40 pounds is pretty substantial. So I'll do weighted vest hikes. And then one thing that I have implemented a lot is I'll do my Fight Fit workout, which is like a kickboxing strength and conditioning workout. And I'll put on some like 2-pound weighted gloves and some ankle weights while I do that. So that also increases my body weight and resistance and kind of increases the calorie burn from just the workout too.
That's fun. That's fun. It gives you a little more burn in the muscles.
Yeah, big time, big
Feels a
time.
little more, almost like fight simulator. Hey, that brings me to something. As we're talking about video games, and I'm glad you said that about the weights. Have you ever heard of Oculus, the virtual reality
Oh yeah,
goggles?
yeah, yeah. Those things are awesome.
Yeah, super cool, right? Now, I personally don't own this, and I want to. I was watching I don't know if it was a podcast or an interview or something like that. It was Dana White, the president of the UFC, and he was talking about a game they had created for Oculus called Thrill of the Fight. And he
Mm.
said this was the most crazy experience for him, and he was literally doing it daily after a while as like a fun way to gamify the whole exercise activity thing. He was putting the Oculus on and having a fight a day, like one fight, like 3 5-minute rounds kind of thing. And it's like Fight Fit, but you're actually virtually playing the game. And
Yeah,
this was crazy because I actually had a client who bought Thrill of the Fight and he started playing it. And he was like, "This is a game changer for me." So you're gamifying, having fun, increasing mood. It's a lot of fun, and you're in there and you're really realistically fighting someone first person. It looks like they're right there. It's crazy to watch. Check it out. You can see it on YouTube and things like that. But that just correlates back to what you were saying, kind of putting you into the fight, getting the feeling of it as well, and that makes it a lot more fun to do. So that
yeah,
was pretty
yeah,
cool. Yeah, so it's called Thrill of the Fight. And again, I wish we were getting promo for all this, but we're not. We're not sponsored by anybody, and these are
yeah.
unsolicited messages and information. So,
Have you
uh,
tried the Oculus before and tried one of the fight games?
yeah, yeah. So that was
Yeah.
the experience that I had. Is unbelievable. Have you done it as well?
Yeah, yeah, totally. It was a great
Yeah.
workout, man. I was like getting into it. It was awesome.
That's it, because as fighters, we're so jacked about being in there, and it's like, and it's a bit frustrating too, because what you do as a fighter sometimes doesn't correlate into the game the way you want it to. You're like, oh, man, I didn't do what I wanted to do. But it's fun because the workout's there, and you're getting the burn, you're getting the energy expenditure, you're getting all that, and you're having so much fun you don't realize you're doing any of that. Where if you're on a treadmill or you're just going through the motions to try to say you're doing your cardio, your expenditure, whatever, it's so much more grueling to do it that way. Put it in a fun environment, have fun with it. So Coach Aaron's saying, even if you're doing some shadow boxing or whatever, put some ankle weights or some wrist weights on and make it a little bit more where you're carrying more weight. It feels a little more grueling. It tires you down a little bit more. You don't have to go as long to get the same result. So it's kind of like less is more. In this case, you'll do less, but carrying more weight, you'll burn more of the need activity in between all your movements. So I think that's pretty cool. And that correlates right back to our number 6, which was dance breaks. And I thought dance breaks was going to be the smallest conversation piece of this entire thing. We turned it into a big one. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 7, park farther away. If you're ready for this one, this is going to be a short one, I'm pretty sure. All we're saying here is if you're going to park your car at a grocery store or at a mall or wherever you're going, movie theater, everybody, I know you're guilty. You know you're guilty too. Everybody parks closest to the door that they can. You wait around. You might wait 30 seconds to a minute for someone to pull out so you can take that spot. Stop doing that. Park as far away as you can and walk from your vehicle to wherever you're going. That neat activity will add up and it'll give you, at least if it takes 10 minutes to walk from the parking lot to where you are, 1,000 steps. Now, maybe it's not that far. We're not asking you to park 10 minutes away in a different parking lot, but you see the correlation. So my son goes to university and he has to literally park about 10-minute walk to the university from where he is. So he gets at least 1,000 steps to class and from class. So 2,000 steps a day just going to and from class because of where the parking lot is in correlation to the university. That's what we're talking about. Park farther away. Coach Aaron, got any experience with the parking farther away?
I've started doing that a lot more myself lately. Just going shopping at the store. I'll just not park as in the closest one, but as far away as I can. Get in some more steps, and then even just like taking the stairs and instead of an elevator. There was they did some research studies, and they found out that most everybody would just sit there and wait for an elevator, even if there was a freaking line and they had to wait a long time, rather than just taking the stairs. So that's a simple little thing you could do. Just think about it, where you could implement all those into your daily activities, just a little bit more.
Beautiful. I love it. So there you go. And then number 8 on our list is active TV watching. Now, again, we know we're in the era of Netflix and binge watching and series of TV shows. Everybody's, caught up in binge watching episodes. Guys, we're doing it too. Maybe you got your favorite show. Coach Aaron, have you got any TV or no time for it?
No time for it.
No
Not
time for it.
very, very little. Every once in a while, yeah, not much.
There you go. I personally have like some favorite shows that I watch and I binge out in the evenings, especially. I mentioned The Voice earlier. I play music and sing. I like to watch The Voice. And so I'll get into watching those. And if they're watching them on like a previous season or something like that, you might be binge watching 3 episodes. And there's our timer, which says we have reached our hour. So we're going to have to wrap it up here. Thanks for joining us today. No, I'm kidding.
See you later, guys. Peace out.
We got a couple more points we'll finish up with, but we're doing our best to keep it on our personal guidelines. So, when talking about the binge watching thing, here's the tip. Performing light exercise or stretches while watching TV to avoid the prolonged sedentary activity and behavior. So for our guys in our program, we actually give some protocols for this as to how long to be seated for before you move. Because again, you want to move every so often. We give some protocols around that. We're not going to get into that much detail today, but I do want to say you should take some breaks and between, binges, get up and move a little bit. And again, Coach Aaron, because you don't watch a lot of TV, it's not going to really correlate to you in a way. But you've seen people who, especially client-based, who sit and watch a lot of TV and then say, I don't have time for anything, especially when it comes to like getting neat activity steps in. So one of the things I've done that's able to do is put your TV in an area where you can actually stand up and do something. Whether maybe for you it's jumping rope. I mean, maybe you like to skip. Fighters especially, we love skipping. We do it in the gym all the time. It's like second nature to us. So you can jump rope while you watch a show. Easy. You can watch your favorite podcast and still jump rope. You could be doing it right now. You could be shadow boxing on the spot right now. Even climbing. Some people do the old aerobic step. Put that aerobic stepper up and do steps. Just kind of walk up and down the step while you're watching. Again, some people say, well, I don't have coordination to do 2 things at once like that. I can't focus on my show, whatever. But again, it's just because you're making excuses to not try. We want to see you get in there and start trying. Find a way you can do it. Some people get a bike, like a stationary bike, and they pedal like an indoor cycling, whether it be a spin bike or a recumbent bike. They sit and they watch their favorite show while they pedal. That's still seated activity. Remember we talked about that earlier. The difference can be, what was it in the percentage? We said the difference is, where did I have that?
It was a lot.
Yeah, sitting and fidgeting was 54% difference.
Yeah.
Just sitting and fidgeting. That's simple as, I don't know, can you do that? Spin your pen around the back of the, I saw someone used to do this in class all the time. They would like flick their pen and it would spin around the back of around their head and come back in. Like, that's just fidgeting. People do that all the time. Stuff like that adds up. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But we're talking like while you're watching a show, fidget. And so what would you give for advice here if we're talking about people who are binge watching TV? Any extra tips and strategies on how to do that?
You know what I like to do is I'll sit down and watch a couple hours of just fights back to back, and I'll do my stretching and yoga while I'm watching the fight. So, I mean, a lot of guys don't get enough mobility training, and that's a good way just to, again, kill 2 birds with 1 stone and just, get some mobility work in while you're watching some fights or watching your favorite shows.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Now, I like that. And again, watching fights is definitely something we could binge. I think if your Coach Aaron and I got locked in a room and we had one choice to just pick, like what we could have with us, it'd be fights, and we just watch fights and analyze fights. We could spend a friggin' week in there, but we would become very sedentary if we didn't add what we're talking about today, some movement to during that time. So number 9 on the list was actually something we already covered. So we're going to be able to jump past that. It was standing desks. That's for our business guys out there. If you're sitting and you're fidgeting, great. You've upped it 54%, like we talked about. But standing upped your expenditure even more. Standing and fidgeting, 93% increase over sitting sedentary. So that's a major, almost 100% difference to stand and fidget together. So that's going to be doing your tasks while standing. So get a standing desk, which is probably something both of us need to look into if we're going to increase our NEAT any further. But also remember this, as you increase your NEAT, you increase your caloric expenditure. If you're not timing your nutrition properly and getting your caloric allotment to match, you may still see weight gain, and that's not going to help you. So don't think that NEAT is just the way to get the weight off and keep it off. It's a part of a bigger picture. It's one of the many movable parts that we coach on. So it's really important to get that from Coach Aaron and I, not just collect the information of how great NEAT is. It's a wonderful addition. It's a plateau breaker. It's everything we want it to be, but it's also part of a bigger picture. You do have to have nutrition in place. You can't out-train a bad diet, no matter how, right? So it's going to be really important to keep that in mind. But a standing desk is going to encourage you to use your muscles and stay on those leg muscles longer. And finally, number 10, my personal favorite, and something I'm going to do right now after we get off this podcast. It's called outdoor activity. And that means engaging in outdoor activities such as hiking, biking, playing sports, and enjoying physical nature in an outdoor setting. Use your senses and enjoy nature. See it, feel it, touch it, smell it, taste it. I mean, there's probably ways you can do that. Bring your favorite snack with you and enjoy the tastes of being outdoors. People love picnicking. They like to eat on an outdoor, barbecuing out on the back patio kind of thing. For some reason, the food seems to be different when you take it outdoors. That's pretty interesting, right? But again, it's all part of the experience. So we're going to say outdoor activity, engaging in these types of things, hiking, biking, and playing sports. So Coach Aaron, we talked a lot about your bike today, getting out there and into the mountains and hikes. For me, it's all about hitting the trails. I've got trails all around my house. I love walking. Chief's back on the mend. We're getting out there. We're walking. We're going to hit that, and we're going to probably put in a good hour's worth of walk today just because we love to. It's not like we're punishing ourselves for being overweight and I want to go do this because I need to. It's because we want to. We enjoy it. That's really important. So take us away, Coach Aaron, on outdoor activities. What do you got to add?
I love to like play basketball, play horseshoes. Those are just kind of some of my fun activities. That's, burn some calories, get a little cardiovascular. And then again, I'll usually, kind of batch it with like something that I'm working on business wise too. And like kind of brainstorm at the same time as I'm playing, like, just receive some inspirations, mark something down in my Google Notes or whatever. And, yeah, I love it.
That's great. And again, you mentioned community in that case, like basketball, something you can play as a team. Invite a couple buddies out and shoot some hoops. Those are great ways to do the community building. One of our favorite things in this whole journey is talking about our community. One of our main things that we try to bring together is the fact that we are a team. Even though you're on an individual journey, I look at it like our fighting days. We got into that octagon or into that ring alone. But you're never alone. You got your coaches in your corner, you got your whole team in the audience, right? And everybody was part of getting you ready for that. That's the community part that you can't just, I don't think any guy can go through life without some sort of community. I think it's really important. And if you're a guy listening to this right now and you're mentally depressed, you're struggling, I think one of the things you should look at is, do I have a circle of friends that move me? Do I have a circle of friends that move me in the direction I want to be moving in? Am I surrounding myself with anybody? If you're in a solo darkness, you got to find community first. Don't worry about workout. Don't worry about nutrition. Don't worry about anything. Find community to help pull yourself out of there. You're going to find that that's going to make a big difference. I think every man needs community. What do you think, Coach?
Yeah, that's why, we started the Ultimate Man Project. One of the main reasons is because we just know the necessity of that team atmosphere to help move each other to another level of your fitness, your health, everything. So, us ourselves, just learning from each other and our guys in the Ultimate Man Project, that weekly check-in that we do. It's just great to have that weekly check-in to be able to like see how everybody's doing and help each other level up as a community. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Bounce ideas off each other. I love that you said learn from each other. We all have different experiences in life. If you're feeling like you don't have anything to offer this world, talk to someone who hasn't been through what you've been through. You'll see that you're an expert in what you've been through. Every one of us is. Our mess becomes our message. Our test becomes our testimonial. You got that to give. You got that to give someone else who has never been through it before. If you've gone through anything and they've never been through it, you are an expert for them to hear from. So find people you can spread your value into. It's very motivating. Such a great part of feeling the human need for significance and connection and love. I mean, it's great. So on that note, we should do a couple things that are very team oriented, very Ultimate Man podcast oriented. One of the things we like to do is get our drinks ready and toast a cheers to the Ultimate Man Project. So, Coach Aaron, we got our drinks. I like to shake it up because it's been sitting for a little bit. There we go.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys. We're staying hydrated. Keep that water. All right. And on that note, the other thing we usually do is we end it with a fist bump. Everybody brings it in. But before we do that, Coach Aaron, any final reminders for today?
Like and subscribe if you dig our vibe. If you need some help with coaching to get your health and your fitness back on point, join our Ultimate Man community. We're doing our summer shred right now, helping guys get lean and mean. Come join us. Let's burn some fat, build some muscle, and hustle together.
That's awesome. I love it. All right. So once again, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And we'll see you guys next time. Bring it in, boys.
All right. Till next time. Peace out, brothers.